Good morning, everybody. It's Donna Reed with Up With People 1976A and the Cactus Lounge. However, this morning, I'm not anywhere near Arizona. I am at a Sofitel in Lyon, France, and super excited to be interviewing one of who I hope is several Europeans that I get to interview while I'm here kind of closer to their time zones. So this morning, please introduce yourself, Birger.
Hi, so I'm Birger Husted, or Birger Husted, as it is pronounced correctly in Danish, but Up With People world, I'm Birger, and I traveled back in Cast A 1987. Originally, I'm from Denmark, but since 1992, I've been living in the Czech Republic.
Well, that helps with my first couple of questions because I didn't think you were originally from the Czech Republic, but I wasn't sure. So, tell me your name again in Danish. How do you say it?
Birger.
Birger. Okay.
Yeah.
So it just became Birger.
I mean, I really don't care whatever people are saying. I normally introduce myself as Birger here in the Czech Republic because that's what people somewhat can pronounce. And when I traveled Up With People, everybody called me Birger. And when I had a British boss for some years in Denmark, and he called me Beaver, tried to see to get close to whatever was there. The original pronunciation, it's a Swedish name, is Birger. In Norway, they say Berger. My parents said Birger. Bjør is the way that you say it in Danish. In the Czech Republic, they typically call me Bira. So I'm reacting on anything that could be.
If you were gonna adjust your name here on the screen, you'd have all these words across all the different ways to say it. That's awesome. So what took you to the Czech Republic?
Back in 1991, I was asked by an organization called Experiment of International Living, which were doing some exchange programs and various activities across borders in Denmark, if I would be part of making a program for Czechs about democracy in Denmark. That was after the Velvet Revolution in the Czech Republic, all the political changes of the old East Bloc in end of 1989. And so in 91, I was asked if I wanted to make this program, and I accepted it, but said, well, but I do not know anything about Czechoslovakia as it was at that time.
Yeah.
I said, no problem. If you don't have any program this summer here, well, if you want to, you can go for 2 weeks to Prague, and we can arrange you stay with the host family. Wow. So I went with the host family, my host sister is now my wife for 29 years.
Seriously? Oh, that's a great story. Oh my gosh, that's super awesome. Yeah. So
even though it was Czechoslovakia until 1st of January 1993, when it was split with Czech Republic and Slovak republics.
Right.
But even the Danish authorities were issuing a passport to me in 96, where it still said
Czechoslovakia. You know, for those of us that we laugh about it depending on our age, what the things that we learned. So when you had to memorize the states and the capitals, or the countries in Europe and the capitals, and the food pyramid, you know what I mean? Our food pyramid went like this because all those things that we thought we were supposed to eat, that's changed. And I often think that about the countries and about the changes in Europe, that whatever I memorized as a kid in high school is so different, you know, than what it was. So what is the language then that is spoken? Did that divide and change when the country itself changed a little bit, or
the languages has always been separate in the Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. So
okay.
The Federal Republic, everybody was speaking Czech or Slovak.
Got it.
The two languages are fairly close to each other. If I compare it to a Scandinavian angle, it would be similar to the differences between Danish and Norwegian.
Okay.
So not you understand each other, but you do not necessarily speak the other language.
Got it. Got it.
Okay. But it's all separate today, and but very good relations between.
So let's go back to Up With People. So when you joined Up With People, were you an 18-year-old kid, or had you finished college? Where were you at, like, in your life?
I had finished my first basic commercial education. I was 21 when I showed up in Tucson for the staging.
Okay.
Celebrated my 22nd birthday.
Wait. And tell us, what birthday are we celebrating today, Birger?
My birthday.
Oh, you're not gonna give us a year. Okay.
So what is that? 35 years ago, I was celebrating my birthday with a birthday cake in the auditorium in Tucson.
Oh, very cool. Well, happy birthday.
And what was the question here? What was the question?
You were 21 and you had been to some school.
So I had finished education at that time, well, my first education at that time, and I had been working for a couple of years in a commercial department in a furniture company, and additionally to this, I had been working as a teacher in evening school for young people. I had been working at a radio station, or I was working at a radio station at that point, having some programs in the morning and journalistic programs, and I was teaching journalism and democracy actually in this youth school for kids in the.
Wow.
So I was involved in a lot of different things, of theater and local politics and whatever. So pretty engaged young person.
Pretty, but a lot of variety. All right, so 87, right? That's what you said. Was it A, B, C, D, E? Which cast?
That was cast A.
A. Okay, I was an A too. I should be able to remember that. So, all right. So you come to Tucson. They were still staging in Tucson. Did you end up working and traveling additional years as staff, or did you just do?
No, I wanted to, but I wanted to work actually as a PR rep as such in that year. But yeah, I was not accepted. I was doing 3 setups throughout my year, and all of those were sold out days before the cast came in. So
you should have been invited back.
Yeah, but my feeling is that I had some stronger opinions that some of my cast management were not necessarily ready to deal with. So,
you know what? That's fair to say. And I sort of laugh about it now with, because I was 18, and, you think about the ones that were out of college that were a little bit older. And I think I was a little bit more like, I would say like a lemming, where I just followed and did whatever I was supposed to do. I've become way more outspoken as an adult than I was as an 18-year-old. At least that's my opinion. I don't know if my cast managers would say the same thing.
No, but I would say I certainly did have more experience than quite a few of the others.
Yeah. All right. So I want to make sure that I ask a couple of the questions that I've tried to ask everyone. I can never remember the names of shows. Oh, I just lost your picture, Birger. You still there? There you are. Okay.
Back again. Don't know what happened here.
Yeah, don't know. Tell me what was the name of your show that you were in? Oh, we're locking up. Birger. Okay, we're losing some. Oh. All right. Are we trying to log in again? Different place, Birger?
Trying, yes. Yeah. It didn't come up automatically here. I hope it works.
Well, now I hope so too. So I was asking you about your show. I don't know what we're gonna do. No, going away.
This is not
It's not ideal. Now I lost one of you. I can hear you again now.
All right. So I'm in again here. Yeah, what was the question before?
The question was about music and your show, and
it was time for the music was our performance, and our tour brought us classical Midwest, up and down in the middle of the US, 28 states, Saskatchewan in Canada, and then Finland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden.
Oh, you had a nice tour.
One private show in Switzerland, and then we were the first cast to go to the Soviet Union back in 1988.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So, is there a song from the show that really speaks to you, or if not from your show, that you feel like has been impactful for you over the years?
I think from the show itself, I'm not necessarily, I got a little bit tired of some of the songs throughout the years, but they're coming back as such. There's a bunch of songs that means a lot for me, not necessarily from my show.
Okay.
From the show, well, Unfinished World certainly is the top one picture. Yep. Another one that was there, but otherwise the songs are, many of them, Someone Else's Eyes.
Oh, no, you know what? Nobody has brought that one up yet. You're about the 20th person that I've interviewed, and nobody else has brought up Someone Else's Eyes.
That's one of my favorites, because
that's a great song.
I've also been doing a lot of cross-cultural trainings, and that's exactly the essence of this here. So I typically start my trainings actually by singing Someone Else's Eyes.
Nice.
To the typically is business clients that I have training for. So when it's in a bigger group, I typically start singing a song for them, and that's the one.
Nice.
Because you basically cross-cultural education and understanding how to work in a different environment is basically the essence of that, is to see the world through someone else's eyes.
Yep. Yep. Boy, there'd be way less judgment if we did that, don't you think?
Yes, certainly.
That is a great song. And I hope that during these interviews, the people who haven't, I've been lucky since I moved to Tucson that I've been to a lot of reunions. So by being to a lot of reunions and helping with a lot of reunions, I've done a lot of songs and heard a lot of songs over and over through the years. And there are a lot of people who haven't. I think I only traveled 1 year. So if I hadn't been in Tucson and if I hadn't been to all these reunions, I wouldn't know these songs. So I hope that some of these interviews spur people to go to YouTube and find them and, and learn more. That's a great song. And so you had a pretty international tour. I was bicentennial. We were kind of a whole lot of the United States. We spent like a lot of time in Texas. And tell me, from a host family perspective, as we talk about the future of Up With People, and I'm going to get to the Board of Governors and you here, nobody knows what it's going to look like, but everyone talks about the need for host families and this post-COVID fear that we have of having people in our space that we don't know that might be sick or whatever. No, but what does that look like? Do you have a host family experience that you loved or that you can't believe you endured, or besides the fact that you married someone later? I mean, that's a great story. But what about host families?
Well, I would say there are a few that kind of sticks out, but not. I had wonderful host families all the time. I think the wonderful part of it was the diversity that you got. I mean, one day you were at a rich weapon dealer in Texas. The next day you were at a poor family outside of Chicago in a black family, and a very different environment that I had seen before. The next in a super religious family in the middle of Kansas, and all of this diversity that you would get around that basically meant that you had to adapt to the situation, you had to adapt to whoever is around you, you had to learn to fit in and listen necessarily more than you would be speaking, to figure out who are you actually in front of.
Yeah.
and trying to get the best out of the situation.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful learning experience, all of these different host families, I think. I was lucky. I didn't have no host family horror stories on my side. I was generally quite happy with everyone.
Oh, that's good. That's good. In hindsight, there was one town in Texas where 3 or 4 of us got back on the bus the next day and say, "You can't believe what happened in this place." And part of that for me is that knowing that we just trusted, right? There was no deep interviews done with host families that were like, you had to check a list to make sure you would be okay to let these kids come to your house. You know, it was just a super trusting time, and that added to the learning. And
I think some of the families that I remember, some families that were sticking out a little bit more from the negative side. Just I can think of two families I can think of at the moment here, which were very rich families, typically the member of the local Rotary Club, and were in it, or a church where they were in it just because everybody else was doing it.
oh yeah, yep.
And then they kind of put you in a separate room. They had somebody, I remember waking up one morning and or coming back one day, was it, and looking at this, suddenly the suitcase, everything looked like I had half the things that I had before, because somebody had been washing everything and had been ironing it and putting it in it
Just
back.
taking
And
your things.
so there were servants in the house that were taking care of that. But I think the essence of it, where you really got the essence of the host families, where you had really a chance to talk and learn and be with them. Those that were just doing it just because they ought to do it because the rest of the people in their little society did it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a different ball game.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a place in the world that you just can't wait to go back to? Is there any place or a place that you haven't been that you just really, really want to go, Birger?
Not where I was traveling as such. Sorry, I have some noise here in the back. I am hosting at the moment. I'm a host father for a rabbit from one of my friends here, and it's making some noise in the cage. But I hope
that's okay. Could be worse.
No, I wouldn't say so. No, everywhere you go, it's the people that makes the difference. So it really is more a question of going back and meeting the people again.
Yep.
Going and seeing places. None of the places that I were at were necessarily, you could say, that super exciting from a sightseeing point of view. But it was interesting from the people point of view.
Yeah.
So I would say it's always the people that matters.
I had somebody ask me that about my travel. They said, "Well, are you traveling to go to the places or to see the people?" And I'm like, "Yeah, both of those, right? Because the people make the places." And you know, learning when you were talking about your host family, I remember a host family that he worked in a silver mine in Idaho. I want to say, I didn't go to Idaho or ever expect to plan a trip to Idaho so that I could go down inside a silver mine, right? But this 18-year-old kid got to do that. So, you know, super interesting experiences. So, all right. So I think at the reunion that we just had in Scottsdale, that might be the first time you and I have met in person, right? Maybe?
Maybe it was. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember, unless you've been at other reunions I was working at, which, you know, is very possible. But you are now involved with the Board of Governors, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And do you want to tell the alumni world what your position is on the Board of Governors?
Right now, I'm a vice president of the board of the International Alumni Association. So I'm part of the project of getting all the activities back in on track. and moving forward.
Hold on a second. I'm on a Zoom call. Please come later. Plus tard, s'il vous plaît. They're coming to clean my room. You have a bunny. I have a hotel crew. So what you have stayed active. I have watched you. I have followed you because we became Facebook friends because we have a lot of friends, right? And you have been active with the European alumni and in helping lead things. What draws you to do this and to continue to now want to help the Alumni Association?
I think immediately, bring a little bit back, immediately when I got off the road, I think the UWPIAA alumni community, I basically came back, moved to my small town in Ringkøbing in Western Jutland. After 2 weeks, I got so frustrated I needed to get out of there. So I moved to Copenhagen, and there, the UWPIAA alumni community was kind of my network that I had there. And I got involved very much with the Danish UWPIAA Alumni Club, which was the first national alumni club that was established, and helped making a lot of interesting events together with them. When I then moved to the Czech Republic, I was kind of taken away from these things here, got family established and all of this stuff here, and except from arranging a European alumni meeting, or leadership meeting as they were called at the time, in 1998 in Prague, I was not really involved with UWPIAA until 2010, when I felt I could go back again, participated in the European alumni meeting, and got so thrilled to meet with all these alumni again and see how much it helps you to be around among 100 plus smiling and positive people for 3 days. So giving that experience and then learning about people's experience and what they were doing, it was very clear for me, well, it was always all the way through there, that I basically saw UWPIAA alumni as leaders in many ways. The average UWPIAA alumni is a leader either at work or in their community or both places. They take actions, they get involved, and they do it in a non-selfish way where they try to help others typically as well if they can. And I'm seeing that all the way through, that people are really getting engaged in activities. They really do get involved, and they take that leadership. And I wanted to first of all see if I could be a part of this here and help us to utilize this fantastic network that we have in a better way. So I arranged the EAM European Alumni Meeting back in 2011 in Prague. I was then European Middle East Asia or Middle East Africa rep on the IAA board from 2019, a part of making all the new future strategies of the International Alumni Association. So basically getting all of that in place. End of August 2021, I checked out of the board, as my position as EMEA rep as such was cancelled with the new structure of the IAA, and with the aim to start taking leadership in one of the committees that were there, primarily working on professional business development, or you say professional networking and things like that. Then I was brought back on the board in 27th of May, I think was the date, this year, to join as vice president, to help getting the ball rolling again after the IAA had faced some legal issues and a long and hard fight, to kind of get back. So we are ready now to roll out all the strategies that were planned in August 2021. And the aim of all of this here is really to make the Alumni Association relevant for alumni in any given stage of their life. So you're working in real estate. A lot of other people are doing that. Could you network together? What could you get out of that network around? Teachers around the world could join hands and get inspiration from each other's. People in the entertainment industry, in my field of executive search and recruitment, well, with all the contacts we have, why not? Plus, we could maybe also help some alumni to get work at some point. So all of us people that are working in HR could also benefit of getting together. And then looking at all these activities that we do in our free time, being involved with NGOs of various kinds, how much inspiration and network we could do that could help each other. And not just looking at the association as such, but help us to make an impact in whatever we get engaged with in the communities around. And I think that's what really drives me at this moment here to tap into this resource, because the alumni network is absolutely magic. And I think that's a wonderful thing that you get out of a European alumni meetings, where the way that we're running this, you meet across castes and years, and so the youngest are 18 and the oldest are 70, and you have a blast together. And you really, when you meet an alumni that an alumni you haven't met is a friend you haven't met.
Boy, that is true, Birger.
It's very much a question about that. You get we have a trust to each other. We have an immediate bond, not just because we traveled with some music show many years ago. That's not right. It's a trust. It's a certain set of values that we have, and that's what we had to utilize to actually get more activities out in the world and getting to work together. I have been several times. I've been using Up With People alumni as I'm sitting on several boards. One of them is the Nordic Chamber of Commerce in the Czech Republic, and we had a meeting about sustainability where we needed sustainability experts to come in. So okay, well, I contact an alumni in Finland that happens to be the top executive for sustainability in the Nordic countries for a large company, and to get her as a speaker on the event. A funny little story. At one point, we got a call from the Nordic Chamber of Commerce in Prague from a person in the entertainment industry, from casting agency in California, that was looking for Inga Nilsson, who was the actress that was playing Pippi Longstocking. So we get a call in Prague at the Nordic Business Chamber of Commerce, right? If we can help to get a contact to that. The director calls me and laughs and says, so what the heck do we do with this? And immediately I contact a Swedish alumni that happens to be an actress, talk to her. She said, oh yeah, well, I have one of my colleagues here. He was actually performing together with Inga Nilsson in Stockholm. And within 24 hours, I had her on the phone to get her in contact with the Californian agency that was hired by RTL in Rome, the Italian television, to a show on television in Italy, flying down on business class, living in a president's suite in a nice hotel, and getting more money for it, of course, and all of this basically
because of Up With People
in less than 24 hours due to Up With People network.
You know what? So I have friends who say to me, I'll ask something on Facebook, or I'll post it on the alumni page and ask a question. And people are saying, you can Google it. And I'm like, I know, but I would much rather hear from other alumni their thoughts on whatever this is, because there's an automatic, all right, I just got we're going to end in 10 minutes thing. I'm exactly the same way. And when I was just in Scotland, I mean, first of all, there's like a whole bunch of alumni going through Edinburgh right now. It's just kind of funny. And to the point where, I don't know if you've seen my pictures, I ended up joining a bachelor party sitting at a bar because they helped me carry my luggage upstairs. And Grant and Gretchen Axton were walking by and saw that same group of guys at the bar before I joined them. You're like, what is the chance of that, you know, in a city across the world? I love that kind of a story.
And if you saw the message of Stuart and Rajan Shepherd, they were basically walking through the streets of, and then suddenly they passed somebody and said, "Hey, that was Grant, wasn't it?"
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. And because my son traveled, I've gotten to know some of the younger alumni who are already now next year going to be 10 years because they traveled in 2013. But one of them ended up staying with me for 2 nights. And it was exactly the same way. She needed a place. She's a little bit more of a free spirit than I am, you know. And she, so she didn't have things planned. She wasn't sure if she'd be there. And I'm like, I asked my Airbnb host, he goes, you can have up to 4 people. I don't care. There was not an additional charge. And I had she and her boyfriend at the time stay at my house 5 or 6 or 7 years ago in Arizona. And there is an automatic trust for whatever reason, because the truth is we're not all perfect people and all that, but there's something that ties us together.
Absolutely. And I think this the trust is in anything you do. Relations and trust is a key element as such. So before you join into business or any kind of professional relations with somebody, you need to have a certain level of trust. And just because you know that these people have gone through a little bit of the similar experience, they are most likely a similar kind of character, personality wise. There's a good chance that their value set is the same as I have.
Right. Underneath
this, we can jump over a lot of different processes to get to know each other in this sense here, and we can actually get started where others will spend
be like doing this like to
actually get to know each other. So I think in this sense here, there's so much we can utilize this network for. Plus, I would say now in the another activities that I'm looking forward to see if we could get lifted at some point, I mean, is a travel committee. I mean, what can we do of traveling together? I mean, whether it's just like, okay, there's a weekend trip to whatever a city somewhere, and there's room for 10 people coming.
Right, 6, 8, 10 people. Agreed.
Or like in the fall, I will be going on a trip to Peru, Bolivia, Chile.
Nice.
I'm going to spend a couple of weeks in a bus with a bunch of strangers. I hope that they will be somewhat nice to travel with, but I have no clue. But I know that if the bus would have been filled with people, alumni that I have never met before,
there'd be an
I know already that just the trip being on the bus would be worth the whole darn travel.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't, and it doesn't need to be, things doesn't need to be made on a huge level and big fancy tours or anything like that. But give them the opportunity to basically get into your network, use the network, try to get involved with each other, utilize it, and get to know people in another cast than the one that you traveled with. And get to utilize it. I mean, I was thinking about so often that we get together in different events around, and we actually don't know, even as alumni, what the person next to us is doing professionally. So at the reunion, at my opening speech here, I was saying, okay, so how many teachers do we have in Please Stand Up? So you saw a bunch of people around there, and there's a lot of people who are in the entertainment industry or whatever it would be. I could have all kind of professions. They would be there. If we could get these people to actually connect together and get to know each other. Under COVID, we did this. So we started this Zoom for Everyone activities here from Europe. And we just joined eventually with people from many different countries and around the world. And one of the activities we got together as well was a question about getting teachers together in those early days of COVID to inspire each other, whether you were sitting in Mexico or the US or Belgium or Denmark, to get together and learn from each other and understand what you could utilize this network for.
All right. Birger, we've only got a couple minutes, and I want to ask you one last question that I've been trying to ask everybody. Is there any food that you ate on the road that you would never eat again? Or is there anything that you ate on the road for the first time that you love, 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 love?
I really love food. And I would eat anything. It's a little bit like, well, some say about Chinese that in China you eat anything with 4 legs, unless it's a table or a chair. But generally, I would be ready for anything in that sense.
Okay. You might have to answer this after we quit recording, because I'm about ready to cut it off.
I would say basically there are some food that I mean I'm not so thrilled with most American breakfast kind of things.
Interesting.
American bread is absolutely horrible compared with yeah. But otherwise, I'm fine with it.
All right. So I have to wrap it up. I'm going to ask, first of all, I'm going to say thank you for doing this and for giving me the names of other people. I want to make sure we share it on the EAM page, and that maybe some of those other people you told me about will watch it, because one of the men, I already told you, he was like, what is this? What are you asking? What's the purpose of it? And all of that. And then, so any other names that you can give me, I greatly appreciate that. I will probably wait a day or two till I post it. I'll make sure that you know. And please keep the names coming. And thank you for all that you're doing. You're
welcome. You're welcome.
I want you to type all your names for me in all the languages so that I can put them on the information. Okay.
Very good. But I really hope that this will be. I love your series. It's really very inspirational. It's so positive talks. I love to hear that.
Thank you.
And I think it's so good to get some of the stories out there. And I hope that people will get a bit inspired to actually network a bit more around.
I agree. I agree.
Hard for it.
All right.
So
I'm going to quit the recording here, and thank you, Birger, for your time.